All right, we're out here at the short game area. We're going to talk a little bit about grain and identifying your lie and then the different techniques. So this is really important, especially for some of our members that are coming back to Pine Tree from cooler climates where the grass is different. We all love grain, right? No, we don't. It makes for an additional factor not only on putts but also on chips, believe it or not. So Brian's going to help you identify it and then show you a couple different ways to maybe manage it so that you can still hit a quality shot.
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, just to define what is grain. Grain is defined by the direction that the blades of grass are laying. So you can kind of figure this out both by looking at the grass a little bit. If you're looking in this direction and you see grass that is brightly colored, the grass is laying in that direction. That's called down grain. And if it looks a lot darker, you'll see some darker patches. The blades of grass would then be laying toward the camera. Those would be into the grain. But the best way really to do this is in your pre-shot routine, just to come up next to the ball and hit the ground a few times. You're allowed to do this by the rules of golf, and just let your club interact with the grass. And you'll see right there, there was not a lot of disturbance between the club and the grass. Right there, it just kind of glided right through there. And so if I get up here and there's not very much interference, that's a down grain shot. I can just go ahead and hit this little chip shot, and there's not a whole lot of interference there. However, even just a foot or 2 feet away from that ball is a place where if I'm hitting the ground, oh my gosh, there's all this interference here. Look at that. All of a sudden I'm into the grain. So this is going to produce a much higher likelihood of getting some debris, dirt, grass in between the club face and the ball, and make it a little bit harder to make good contact. So there's a couple things you can do once you've identified this condition. Maybe the first thing would be to choose a different shot. If you have a shot just like this where there's no need to hit the ball in the air, maybe even just choose a putter to reduce the likelihood of just flubbing it right next to you. We know we don't want to chip twice on a hole, so just getting the ball to advance, or maybe using any club with less loft makes it a little easier to make contact. If for whatever reason you do have to hit the ball in the air still and want to choose to use a lofted wedge, one of the techniques you can use is to raise the shaft of the club just a little bit. And what this does is it basically moves some of the bottom of the club up off the ground, so you have less surface area of the club interacting with that grass. So that's a technique I like to use quite often, where you just kind of put the shaft a little more upright where just the toe of the club is down in the grass, and you just hit a little shot like that. And you can see just a little bit of disturbance, but not nearly as much as if I had used the whole club, and you get that big divot and interference. So very important to test your lie when you're around the greens on these Bermuda grass surrounding areas.